What's going on, BBN? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Kentucky Connection podcast. Today we have a very special guest, my boy Noah from Hardwood Trash Talk, my absolute favorite TikTok creator. Watch every single one of his videos. This dude is one of the most knowledgeable college basketball people on the planet. This guy knows way more than I could ever hope to know. How you doing, Noah? Thanks so much for joining, bro.
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me on. And it's a blessing. Can't wait to talk basketball. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. So me and Noah actually we found each other on TikTok. I post TikToks about Kentucky, and he posts TikToks about the broad college basketball landscape. And I think I followed you first because I just loved your videos and I was a fan. And then one of these days you followed me back, and so we've kind of just been talking here and there about college basketball and stuff. So I definitely felt like I needed to get you on here. I really respect your opinion, and I want the listeners to be able to find you. So look up Hardwood Trash Talk on TikTok and Twitter. My man Noah stays on top of that stuff. But yeah, so today's first topic, I wanted to kind of get your opinion on Kentucky's incoming recruiting class, looking at guys like Cason Wallace, Chris Livingston, Adou Thiero, and then, of course, Antonio Reeves coming through the transfer portal. How do you feel about each one of those guys, and how do you see them projecting for us?
Well, I want to start off saying Cason Wallace is probably my favorite player in the high school 2023 class. 2022. But he stand out on both ends of the floor, two-way, long arms, gigantic hands, beautiful pull-up game. I was watching him at Richardson, Texas, and I think he could play the one or two guard. He reminds me a lot of Drew Holiday, and I think Severe Wheeler's coming back, right?
Right.
I think he is. So he could play right next to him, and they could be formidable on the defensive end. He has a good outside shot. I don't worry about him. Great leadership. He was at Jordan Brand. He was at McDonald's, and he's just been killing it ever since. So like, I'm really high on him. Unfortunately, I'm not high on Chris Livingston.
Yeah.
Um, I
I remember
think
hearing you
some.
say that.
So it's like watching basketball, it's like some players have swagger, like high ranked recruits. If you're that high ranked, you have to have it has to be more than just he offers a lot athleticism, like he's strong. When he gets in the paint, he can bump off them and score. Like he reminds me of like a young Jalen Brown, right? But his handle is kind of loose. Now I don't know if Coach Cal's gonna use him in like on ball opportunities. And I just don't know how he fits. Like, do you fit him like in the backcourt? Because when I watch him, he seems pretty small compared to like he was like a phenom early in his high school career. Like they were like, because he's out of Akron, he went to LeBron's former high school, and they were like, is he like the next LeBron? He was athletic, dunking, posters, everything. But it's like over time, now his shot is fluid. It's gotten better. It's like it's not mechanical as it once was. Soft touch, good follow through. But I feel like you need wiggle in this game. And if he doesn't add that wiggle to his game, maybe he does. But right now, I don't know. And it's just hard for me to. I also look towards the NBA draft. So like, I know Coach Cal likes to put players in the league. He'll go to the league off of raw potential alone. But as a Kentucky fan, you want a title. I don't know if he has that demeanor and that presence to be a contributor on a title winning team. Just in my personal opinion. I'm sure the kid is a hard worker and stuff, but I'm just not as high on him. I think, like I said, Cason Wallace is probably one of y'all best recruits that y'all got in recent memory. I know it's a bunch of guys in the league right now killing it, but if we're just talking like out of high school, body of work of high school, what they done against top competition, because some kids run away from the bump. I respect Cason Wallace. I really do. Now, Adou Thiero, that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
Now he's late on the scene. Now his name started to get some rise, like, oh, he's going to Kentucky. I started seeing that rumor fly out, but I didn't really know about him. 3-star recruit, like, not on the big team. Wasn't really didn't really know too much. Then I watched just a couple highlight vids. Now it doesn't always say much, but I can tell like he's raw too. But he Coach Cal sees something in him, And I don't know exactly what he sees, but watching the highlight tapes, it's not crazy for Coach Cal to offer him for him to come to Kentucky. I think he is a project player. I don't know if he gets PT off rip, and I know it's a far comparison, but like in terms of just the rawness, like Hami Diallo when he came out of high school, I forgot where he went.
I,
Putnam.
yeah, I think somewhere in New York.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. I feel like it's gonna take time, but he definitely has flashes, like especially in the transition game. I seen him do a couple behind the back moves. I seen he's athletic. I seen he's willing to shoot. So I wonder how the assistant coaches are gonna work with him. Think he's a project player, and then Antonio Reeves. I seen that he's mainly a scorer. I haven't really checked enough film on him to come to a conclusion on him, but I think he's going to be good in the scoring department. I would have to. Do you know his 3 point numbers
He shot
off the top?
40% from three last season.
All right. Well, see, yeah, that's good. If he's good off ball, that's y'all need spacing. I think
Right.
that's y'all need spacing. Y'all need athleticism, and I think that's what held y'all back. In my personal opinion, this last year, I felt like sometimes y'all were too reliant on Oscar. And then if Grady wasn't hitting shots, that was big. If Grady was hitting shots, y'all were on fire. Y'all could have won the national championship.
Right.
Y'all had the talent. And then so yeah. But overall it's a nice class. I want to see if y'all still poach the transfer portal for some more guys. I don't know how many scholarship spots y'all still have open. Maybe how do you know?
I think we're still waiting on an official decision from Jacob Toppin, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a foregone conclusion he's coming back. And
Yeah.
then Keon Brooks is in the transfer portal, but he's definitely gone because Antonio Reeves has already taken his jersey number. So Keon Brooks is gone. There's no question about that. And then we're still, of course, waiting to see what happens with Shaedon Sharpe. I think everybody knows what's going to happen with Shaedon Sharpe, but yeah, I think we still have like one or two spots open.
Yeah, Sharp's definitely not coming back. But it's sad because I wanted to see him play, and I'm sure every Kentucky fan wanted like before even like he stepped foot, like he was still at Dream City. I was like, this dude, like we throw out the term generational loosely, not we you and but like just NBA draft community. But I really feel like talent wise and ceiling wise, this dude is could be up there with like the Jason Tatum's, up there with the Luka Doncic of the world. Like he has that in his bag. He has the traits, tools, the measurables. Like I'm all in on him. And like I say, it's crazy that we never got to see him play.
Right.
He
Yeah.
definitely would have been beneficial to the round. He could have at least played like 15 minutes,
Right.
something to provide a spark.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that on the pod the other day about, I can guarantee that if Shaedon Sharpe was playing, we wouldn't have lost to St. Peter's. Like that's a foregone conclusion that would not have happened. So it's very unfortunate we didn't get to see him at UK. I still wish him the best. Some Kentucky fans are bitter about it and they're gonna hate on the kid for the rest of his career, but that's not the case with me. I know a lot of this stuff was out of his control, and he wants to play in the NBA. That's his dream. His dream growing up wasn't to play for UK. His dream was to go to the NBA, and if that can happen right now, he's going to do it. But looking back at some of the recruits, like you made that Drew Holiday comparison to Cason Wallace, and I saw that comp the other day, and a light just went off in my head. Like that is exactly who Cason Wallace is. He is that strong, broad shouldered. He's kind of pretty built for a guard, very strong. His body is like already college ready and NBA ready, I would say. I think most people's concerns with Cason is the question mark about is he going to be able to shoot the ball? Because, like you said, the spacing is going to be a problem if we don't, figure some things out. Because as of right now, our starting lineup projects to be Severe Wheeler, Cason Wallace, Antonio Reeves, Jacob Top, and Oscar Sheboy. That's going to be our most likely our starting five. And in that starting five, the only surefire shooter is Antonio Reeves, and we don't know how he's going to handle that step up in competition. So, from what you've looked at, because I've scouted Cason a good bit as well, and I don't know how confident I am with his 3-point shot because I don't know if he wants to shoot the three as much. It seems like he likes to get in there. He likes the contact. He likes his floater. It doesn't seem like the 3-point shot is something that he wants to take all the time. So, are you convinced that he's not going to be a liability from beyond the arc?
No, I don't think he's gonna be a liability. I've seen him like he prefers the mid range, like the floater game mid range. But I've seen him hit tough shots, having the willingness. Like he's not scared to take the three, and the mechanics is all right. So I think he'll be good enough. I think he could be like a 36%, 30, 35, 36, 37 in that range type of outside shooter. I'm not scared. There's nothing to, like for me to doubt that his ceiling as a shooter.
Right.
Because you think about it, like mid-range shooters, they'll expand to the outside. Like they're if you're comfortable in that outside area, like you're just not always going to the basket, but you're comfortable taking jumpers in general. Like you're gonna be okay from the outside. So I'm but I think I'd rather have him on the ball. I don't think like I know Severe Wheeler is going to be the point guard, but if we're talking about like what's Cason's true position, now that's something like we seen like the Drew Holiday comp. Like he's better as a point guard, but he can play the two guard. It's just things like that. I just nitpicking. So I want to see how Coach Cal like does with who handles the rock in certain situations because Kason has that it factor too. Like you need a bucket and clutch situations. I've seen him on multiple occasions do it. So it's like, all right, I want him having the ball. I don't want Severe Wheeler. Like I know he's not gonna shoot. If I need a like a basket off the bounce, Cason.
Right.
So
Right.
I
And
just want to see.
I think that might have been slightly an issue with us this year as well. Ty Washington's true position was point guard, and we had him playing off ball. So I'm worried it might be a similar situation. I mean, Ty still might be a lottery pick. It's not like we completely killed his stock, but Coach Cal tends to do that sometimes. He likes to play the 3 guard lineups, and guys who are typically pure point guards are playing off ball. We've seen it happen with like Isaiah Briscoe in the past. We had him playing the 3, and like Isaiah Briscoe was a pure 1. So it's situations like that where Coach Cal's coaching tends to be a little bit weird when it comes to just who's playing in what positions. He likes his guys to be able to play multiple positions. And I do think if Ty was running the pure point for us last season, we might have, had a little bit more success. The one game he played pure point guard, he had 17 assists against Georgia. So it was like, it's a little concerning to think about, what was our ceiling with Ty as the point. So I'm hoping that Cason doesn't get limited like that, and I hope because like comparing him and Ty, I think we all know that Cason's just a better player overall. But do you feel like Cason could be similar or better than Ty offensively, or do you think Ty was just more of an offensive player than Cason as of a college situation?
I think Ty is better off of like set actions. I like how he was coming off of like down screens, or like curls, and he'll be fluid in the shot. I think one Kason's better on ball. Ty was better off ball in terms of like scoring, but Ty is like you said is a true point guard in nature. And you said the Georgia game, LSU game when he got he ran into Afton Reed, right? He got
That
the
screen. Yeah.
and then Tata kept him in the game, right? We went with this passing. I
Well,
thought,
and Ty was playing injured that game too. He was playing a little bit banged up, so we didn't even get to see the full story there.
yeah, and I just yeah, that's pretty much it. I think, but if we're talking in terms of reads too, like I think Tata's a better passer. Now I'm saying, so I said Tata's better off ball, but I think his reads, his passing is better too. But I trust Kason better on the ball. That if that makes a little bit more
Yeah,
sense.
no, it makes sense. And then looking at, I know you're not feeling the Chris Livingston hype, and so what I'll ask you, do you remember kind of the situation with Khalil Whitney and Cameron Fletcher, those 2 guys at UK? Do you remember that situation?
I know Whitney. He didn't even play, and Cameron wanted PT, and so he basically didn't play either. Right? That's what happened.
Well, Whitney actually played half the season,
Oh, he did.
but he just wasn't very good. That the reason I bring those two guys up is because they were both super athletic wings who came in with a lot of hype. Both 5-star prospects. I think Whitney was a top 10, top 15 guy. And so I'm wondering if you think that might be a similar situation with Chris Livingston as just an uber athletic wing. I think he is more polished overall than those guys were. Fletcher, he had an okay season at Florida State this year, and then Khalil Whitney ended up like trying to go pro, and then it just kind of flamed out for him. So,
Yeah.
but I feel like Chris Livingston just has more pro potential. I was worried about his shot, but then watching some of these games he was in and watching, some of his highlights, I was kind of surprised that he was an actually decent shooter. It seems like he's improved on that big time. So do you think there's a possibility Chris could come out and be like a high contribution guy for us? Because I've seen there's some rumors saying that Coach Cal's considering playing him as a small ball four to give us some more spacing because they just don't think that Toppin's going to be ready when it comes to shooting. And like I said, Reeves will be the only shooter in that starting lineup. So do you see him plugging as a small ball forward to kind of try to stretch the floor a little bit?
No, like I think he's undersized. Like he just looks small. Like I know he has like an NBA body, but he just looks small on the court. So if you play him at the four, you're asking a lot of Oscar to be a rim protector, and you would have to have Livingston's defensive motor like tick up. And from when I watched him play at Oak Hill, it was like he was just out there, and it seemed like he would make some athletic plays here and there, but I don't think he fully bought in. Maybe it was a coaching thing. Maybe it's just it's all. I think defense is all mental and all effort. So if Coach Kyle is going to play him at the small ball four, he needs to buy in defensively. That's where he'll make his true mark, and that's where the scouts would be like, okay, he's playing defense. He's playing out of position. The shot looks good. The athleticism. Do I think he'll have success if he's there? Not really.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a lot in play. Like things can happen, and we may not expect it. So, but I wouldn't put him there. I think he's more of like a two.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I think like a 2-3. Like in that, but four. I don't know. I don't know. It's a
Okay.
stretch.
Yeah, I'd been hearing that kind of floating around, so I just wanted to see, how you felt about that potentially happening. And then just a quick little talk about Adou Thiero one more time. I have come up with this, like, it might be a little too out there, but I've kind of compared his situation to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He was a guy who flew under the radar. He was the lowest ranked recruit in his class. He was a 4-star coming in, and Adou Thiero actually got bumped up to a 4-star in the final 24/7 rankings. So, how would you feel, or do you? I know you said you didn't look too much into him. I mean, nobody really has because he kind of came out of nowhere. But I think, as a 6'5" combo guard, he's got the broad shoulders, he's got the long arms, he's got the smooth game, similar to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that one of two things is going to happen. He's either going to come in and he's going to surprise everybody and have a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander type season where he's like, okay, this guy was way more ready than we thought he would be, or he's barely going to see the floor because he's just not ready. But I think, you're going up against Cason Wallace. You're getting guarded by a guy like Cason Wallace every day in practice. That's going to make you, that's going to, streamline your development as an offensive player, I would think. So do you think that's a solid comp, or do you think that we just don't know enough about him yet to make a comp like that?
Uh, I mean, from what I've seen, it wouldn't be surprising. Like I said, bas- to be successful in basketball, I think like as a key contributor, you have to have a certain swagger. Like it's just more than X's and O's, and just like if you could put the ball in the basket, do you have like swagger? I think at Kentucky to win a chip, the players had swagger. The successful teams had swagger. They were out there having fun. They had skill. I think he has skill. And going again, like you said, Cason, learning under Wheeler as a point guard, if you guys decide to stick him as a point guard in the future, I think that will benefit. I do want to watch more film on my end, but I think he could be a key contributor. Um, I like what they said. He's 6'5".
They
Is
said
that
he's 6'5" and that he's projected to. They're saying that his doctors think he's going to grow to 6'8",
Ooh,
which is,
now
I
now if
think,
he
part of his upside.
yeah, because didn't Shay's size like they didn't get a little bit
I
taller.
think when we signed him, he was 6'4", and by the time he arrived on campus, or by the time he like saw the court, he was 6'6".
Yeah, I gotta see. I definitely have to see more, so I don't want to tell you something I don't know.
Okay,
But
yeah, I just
I,
wanted to run that by you because that's kind of a theory I've come up with is maybe Coach Cal saw a little bit of that in him because he's just another guy who flew under the radar. It's not like it's not typical of Coach Cal to sign a guy who has 0 stars. You know what I mean? Like when we offered him, he was completely unranked everywhere. So it's like I feel like he must have seen something to kind of push that narrative in his head. But anyway, to push the conversation on a little bit, can the NBA draft is coming up soon. The lottery was tonight. As it stands right now, Ty Washington is really the only key contributor from Kentucky that will be in this draft. I know you like Ty a lot, but I think Kellen Grady is also going to try to get in there. He most likely won't get drafted, but I just wanted to kind of your thoughts on Ty. Obviously, talk a little bit about Shaedon. Despite the fact he didn't play for us, he's still kind of going in as a Kentucky player. When they call his name, they're going to call him from Kentucky. And then do you think guys like Kellen Grady or maybe even Keon Brooks could somehow find their way picking up a contract as an undrafted free agent?
well, to talk about I feel like the injury definitely derailed some of the major progress that he was making. And it was unfortunate to see that because it not only hampered his draft stock, but it hampered you guys' tournament chances. Because I felt like he was basically playing on one ankle,
Mm-hmm.
something. Um, but I feel like watching him before that, right? So following him in high school, and when it was like COVID time, he was taking over for AZ Compass. Like he put AZ Compass on the map, and I seen him as a scorer. And then I thought he was a point guard, right? And then I seen him do what he did as a playmaker, passing the ball, advanced reads, just knowing where like the roll man's gonna be there, the kick out man, like he understands spacing, which I think is big, and he's perfect off the catch and shoot. Now his size, uh, may be a limitation for him. He's a little bit undersized, and he's like I say a tweener. So some teams don't know if they're gonna stick him primarily on the ball, off the ball. Um, I would still take that top 20 chance on him. I do. I am confident in him. Like whether it is off the bench as a quality contributor or like as a starter, but you will need a pair if you do have him as a starter. Like I seen Atlanta or the Knicks. Like I feel like those are bad destinations for him.
Hmm.
He needs to be in a thriving developmental market. Now I would have to like look into it and see what's a perfect fit. But like I feel like that's the best situation for him. I feel like he has the chops to be a NBA player for 10 plus years. It's just about fit. That's really all the draft is. And like I seen, like I said, following him in high school, I know he has the willingness and him playing on the injury in Kentucky where he could have just said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I
Right.
I'm a I'm a bank on my chances of team seeing this out of me. I know I have a security of getting drafted high, but he kept playing and it ended up lowering it. But I'm high on him, top 20. Wouldn't overthink it, and it's about fit. So he does everything offensively right, but defensively, I like that he gets it. He gets active. He actually tries. He active hands on defense, keeps his hands like where it needs to be. He's instinctive, smart. I love players with high IQ, and he plays both ends with high IQ. So, like I said, don't overcomplicate it. Top 20. Keon Brooks. I don't think he's an NBA player if we're just being honest. But you never know. You
I
you
would
just
agree.
never know. And the Grady thing is like my thing with like shooters, and we're seeing it with Duncan Robinson. He's not even touching the court at for Miami anymore. But he did get that contract, and there's a premium on shooters. If you can shoot, if I'm paying you to shoot, shoot. That's all you gotta do,
Right.
and play defense. Now, I didn't really nitpick when watching Kentucky. Oh, this is what Kellen Grady's doing on defense. So maybe you could fill me in on how you feel how he is as a defender. But if we're talking pure offense, from what I've seen, he relocates, he moves well, finds the open spot. So if he's a consistent knockdown shooter, that's cool. But you let me know how he is defensively. If
I don't think he was a negative on the defensive side, but I definitely think he doesn't have much lateral quickness. He's not a guy who's going to like if you put De'Aaron Fox on him or one of the quicker guards in the NBA, I'm not so sure he'd be able to stop a guy like that consistently. I just don't think he moves well enough on that side, you know, when it comes to being an on-ball defender. But I don't think he was a negative. I think there was a couple backdoor cuts, especially against St. Peter's, that kind of hurt us and is part of the reason we lost. I think he got lost on a couple of those. So I don't think he's like a great defensive player, but I think when you mention a guy like Duncan Robinson, it's similar. Duncan Robinson is not a good defender whatsoever, but he's you know, he got that big contract. And then just look at some of the other guys on the Heat, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. Those are some other guys who they were really just there to shoot and not be a negative on defense. And I think Kellen Grady's a similar guy. And then going back to what he did at Davidson, he was a pure scorer. He wasn't just a shooter. He was a guy, he averaged 17 points per game over 4 years. So we kind of just used him as a spot up shooter. And I think he might be a little bit more than that offensively.
Yeah, so I mean, second round, that's perfect. If a team is looking for shooting, it doesn't hurt to take because most of the second rounders they don't, we're gonna stick them in the G League or we're not even gonna give them a chance.
Right.
So if a team needs shooting, I say why not? And then
Yeah.
now, like I said, defense is all about effort and the mental aspect. If you could coach him, if you could get him to buy in, you know, well, I believe in a second round draft pick for him. But other than that, I'd say top five, Shaedon Sharpe, potentially number one. But the Magic had the first pick, so it wouldn't make sense. I mean, but Ty top 20 and Grady uh second round. And that's it. Wouldn't overcomplicate anything else. Keon Brooks, I'm not really high on.
No, and I think he'll end up coming back to college and going somewhere else. I think he's probably pretty aware he's not getting picked up. And you know, before we move on to the next topic, just to touch on Keon, I don't want to hate on the guy too much, but I think
Yeah.
the Kentucky fans, some Kentucky fans, think that he should have come back to UK and stuff. But I personally think he reached his ceiling as a player at UK. I think he was a mid range jump shooter for us, and he was a solid defender. But he was a guy who I just don't think would have fit on next year's roster. We need to get guys like Damian Collins and Jacob Toppin some more run at the four. So losing Keon, some people are upset about that. Some people don't like Keon and they wanted him to go. Obviously I like any guy at UK, but I do think him moving on was probably the best bet.
Do you think he goes down? Like he's not gonna go to another blue blood, for instance, what I'm saying. Like
I
for
think
example, go ahead.
no, yeah, you good? Go ahead.
I was gonna say like Matthew Mayers, the rumor is Baylor to North Carolina. That makes sense because he's
Right.
that type of player. Keon Brooks, I'm asking you, do you feel like he's gonna go to like a power six school, so like Big East, Big Ten, ACC, or is he gonna go down to like a mid major and make his mark there?
Well, I think if you're a 2 to 3 year starter at UK, you're going to be looked at by some big teams. Like regardless of who you are as regardless of how he projects as an NBA player, I think he can help pretty much any big name program. But from what we're looking at, I think Iowa and Washington are his two, like the two that are kind of looking at him the most right now, and so those make sense. Those are some high Power 5 schools, but they're not Kentucky, they're not Kansas, they're not Duke, North Carolina. Like, I don't think he goes laterally. I don't think he goes to another blue blood, but I do think he's good enough. Like as a college player, I think he would help any team, like anyone would take a guy who started at 3 years at UK. I feel like so. Um,
But do you feel like you guys haven't been pulling in my opinion, the classes like of the past? Like I feel
right.
like Duke got that right now.
Yeah.
They're pulling in every 5-star, right? So I'm saying, do you feel like y'all haven't had the necessary talent to where it is he's a 2 to 3 year starter? Why he's getting given this opportunity? Because I feel like you guys could get back on track with the amount of players having y'all in their final list that I've seen. But then it's like, for instance, like the SEC is getting harder to recruit. LSU, everybody thought, oh, they have all these open roster spots. They're still pulling in guys. Florida got a new coach. They're pulling in guys. We know about Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, right? Justin Edwards. He has y'all in y'all final list. But from what I've seen, I kn- I I seen he did an in-home visit with Kentucky, but they're not pushing for him. Tennessee is leading right now, leading for his signature. So it's
Mhm.
like, if you guys aren't making the necessary push for these top-notch players, you're gonna be desperate for talent. Which then players like, I'm not hating, but then players like Keon Brooks is a 2 to 3 year starter. So do you just feel like y'all been devoid of talent recently to where these type of players are getting the PT?
I think the weird thing is, like, Keon was a 5-star coming in. He was a top 20 recruit. Like, he wasn't like an unknown guy. He wasn't a 4-star. And then like guys like Damian Collins, I think in one recruiting service, he finished top 10 in last year's recruiting class. And then he just ended up not being ready. So I don't feel like, I mean, we're not getting Anthony Davis's anymore, and we're not getting John Wall anymore and guys like that. Like, yeah, but I still feel like we've had the talent there. You know, I mean, in last season's recruiting class, we landed Brandon Boston and Terrence Clark, who were both top 5 recruits, consistent top 5 recruits. And then, of course, that season just completely went off the rails. But like, it's just we're in this weird no man's land where we're landing high caliber recruits, but it's not quite the guys we were getting before. So I do think that a guy like Keon probably in the past wouldn't have been a 2 to 3 year starter. But I still don't think, you know, he was a high caliber recruit. He was a McDonald's All-American. Like he was a guy who was highly touted. So it's just a weird this weird like situation where we're not getting the superstars that we used to. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about there. We're not getting the guys that Duke's getting and stuff like that.
Do you think it's the turnover rate of the assistants? Because I seen y'all just lost Jai Lucas, right? That's how you
Yeah,
pronounce it.
man. Yeah,
And
that was
that one hurt because he recruited Cason, right?
yeah, yeah. I think there was some concern that Cason would leave, but then Cason kind of cleared that up. He was like, "Nah, I'm still coming." But yeah, losing Jay Lucas to Duke. I mean, at first, Coach Cal came out and he was like, "Yeah, Jay Lucas took a promotion," but then it turns out that Jay Lucas has the exact same job at Duke that he had at UK. So he basically just left UK for Duke with no promotion, no increase in salary. Like he just didn't want to be here. He just wanted to go to Duke. So yeah, that one hurt for sure.
So who's y'all lead recruiter now?
Probably Orlando Antigua.
Mm.
I
And
mean,
I know,
he was our lead recruiter in some of our best teams, though. So
but how long ago? I'm not fresh on this. Kenny Payne, because I know he was a big influence in for Kentucky for a minute. How long ago was that?
I believe the Emmanuel Quickly team, the Emmanuel Quickly, Tyrese Maxey, Nick Richards team, I think that was the last season he was here. So I think he left after that year, and then the year after he left was last year when we went 9-16. That was our first year without him, and then this year. So yeah, you know, I think
Mm.
he's been gone for 2 seasons.
Wow. Yeah. I asked you this before. So do you feel like Louisville is going to rival Kentucky now for the same players? Do you feel like it's going to be harder for Coach Cal to pull in his guys?
Right. Yeah. I think that's definitely a big concern. You know, we can use that to kind of segue into the next part about the 2023 recruiting class. We can just start it off with the DJ Wagner situation because DJ Wagner for the last 3 years has been a lock to UK. Like everyone has kind of looked at DJ Wagner as, yeah, he's coming to Kentucky. There's no doubt in anyone's mind. And then Kenny Payne gets hired, and then all of a sudden the conversation shifts very drastically. And Kenny Payne's one of those guys who is going to just magnetize and bring guys in because of just who he is as a coach. He's a great coach. He's a great developer of talent. You know, he's got NBA coaching experience, and he was the assistant coach through all the best years of Kentucky's dominance for a little while there. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that hurts. And if we lose DJ Wagner to Louisville, I think that's going to sting more than anything that's happened on the recruiting trail over the last however many years. We've lost a lot of recruits to Duke, a lot of recruits to all these random schools, but I think losing DJ Wagner to Louisville of all places would definitely sting the most. So he is bringing in some talent. I've had some people, including you, before we had this conversation, I've had some people ask, are you scared of Louisville? Are you scared of Kenny Payne, potentially turning them into a powerhouse and kind of like, taking over the rivalry? And I'd say I'm not really scared, but I am concerned on a specific level, just because we know firsthand as a fan base how important and impactful Kenny Payne is to a program. So we'll see what he can do as a head coach. We haven't seen him on the court, with his guys, calling all the plays, calling all the sets. We haven't seen that yet. So there's no real way to know how that's going to go. But, on the recruiting trail and in terms of developing talent, that does cause a little bit of concern for sure.
So you feel like losing DJ Wagner will indirectly put Coach Cal on, I wouldn't say the hot seat, but like under more scrutiny, like if he doesn't get the job, if he doesn't win the chip in, let's say, the next 3 years. Because
Yeah.
I know
Well,
you guys are impatient. Like this year was like, and we talked about it, like that's inexcusable losing to St. Peter's. Even
yeah.
the magnificent run that they did, like, is inexcusable. So it's like, how you feel about that?
I'm sorry, my mic just unplugged. What was the last sentence you said?
Oh, I said I was saying like it was inexcusable that St. Peter's y'all lost to them, and I'm wondering, Coach Cal, if he doesn't get DJ Wagner, um does that indirectly put him on the hot seat, more scrutiny from the fan base to, yeah, you got to win. If you don't win, you're out.
Well, I'm not sure how obvious it is to people outside of Kentucky's fan base, but I would say a vast majority of the UK fan base is like borderline fed up with Coach Cal. Like it's been happening for the last few years now when it comes to losing those top-notch recruits that we used to get. There's been some obvious flaws in his coaching and some stuff that he's refused to adapt to. He's typically very hostile towards the fan base. He likes to make jokes in the press conferences about how, oh yeah, the fans think they know more than me and stuff like that. So I think there's already been a little bit of animosity building up, but then you have last season happen where we go 9-16, and it's the worst season in school history, and then you promise everybody. I showed this last episode, but here's this yearbook for this season's team, right? And it says rethink, retool, revenge. And this was after last season. He said, enjoy your time now. Next year is going to come soon enough. John Calipari after the 2021 season. So he basically promised next season we're going to start running through people. We're going to get our revenge for such a bad season. And then we end up losing to St. Peter's. So it was like all that talk, all that hype building back up right after going 9-16. And then we lose to a school nobody's heard of in the first round of the tournament. So yeah, no, the animosity is already there, I feel like. And so if we start losing guys like DJ, who's supposed to be a surefire Kentucky lock, and, if Kenny Payne starts beating us and, he starts stealing recruits from us, and all these things happen and we don't win, like I would say, we're not too ridiculous. If we make it to at least the Elite Eight next season, I feel like we'll all feel like things are starting to get back on track. Another Elite Eight appearance, another Final Four appearance, at least let us feel like we're back in the mix, because it just feels like everyone's been passing us by. It feels like Duke's far and like by far the number one like destination for these recruits when it used to be us, and you look at it like this past season, we beat Kansas, who won it all, by 20 in Allen Fieldhouse. We beat North Carolina, who was in the championship, by 30. So you beat the two teams that are in the national championship by a combined 50-plus points, and you're looking around like, what happened? And, we can blame injuries and whatever the case may be, but that just shouldn't happen. You got the National Player of the Year on your team, and you lose to St. Peter's in the first round. So the animosity is already there. People are already calling for his job. I feel like he's already like technically on the hot seat, but we gave him a lifetime contract. So we can't fire him because his buyout is ridiculous. So unless he takes another job or retires, I feel like he's here no matter what. So
I was about to ask you, like, who would be that person to take over? Like, I feel like due to the NIL and some coaches getting like these lifetime contracts or like we're gonna invest everything into you. So I'm thinking like, some of these new SEC powerhouses, some Pac-12 schools, Baylor comes to mind. Who would be like? Who do you think like if you just had to throw like who you think take over this job? Because it's a hard job. Do you
Mhm.
think anybody's built for it, or
So
would y'all start? I'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry. My short list, like before Jay Wright retired, was Jay Wright, but I knew deep down he'd never leave Villanova for any reason. That was his dynasty that he built over there. He was going to retire there. So Jay Wright would have been my ideal pick, but now it's kind of like I like Scott Drew at Baylor a lot. I like how he's kind of turned things around there, won a championship with them last year. I feel like if they weren't injured this year, they would have made a much deeper run in the tournament. So I feel like he had them in a position to be successful this year. So I like him. I don't think he recruits at a decent level, but he would definitely have to kind of like. I feel like you have to recruit at a high level now. After Coach Cal leaves, we can't see a major drop off in recruiting. We're going to have to still land some of these high level guys. So Scott Drew's on that list. I'm waiting to see what Eric Musselman does at Arkansas. He had a really good run this year. His roster build, you can just tell people want to play for him. He's a young, eccentric coach. He's recruiting really well. He's talking to every player in the transfer portal. It seems like Eric Musselman is doing whatever it takes to win. So a young guy like that, like imagine Coach Cal leaves and Musselman is kind of just getting into his prime or about to hit his prime, and he takes over Kentucky. Like that guy has the potential to be the UK coach for decades. Similar to what Coach K maybe did with Duke and stuff. I'm not saying that's what would happen, but it could be a similar situation where you grab a young coach and he stays there for a long time. So I think my top two would be Scott Drew and Eric Musselman, but I could also see, if Billy Donovan doesn't have much success with the Bulls anymore and say he gets let go or whatever, I think we've always been looking at him. Even before Coach Cal came, we wanted Billy Donovan, and then maybe Brad Stevens if we could pluck him out of the Celtics office. That's been a name that's floated around, but I think Scott Drew and Eric Musselman would be the most likely situation.
You want to do a in house somebody that's played for the program, somebody that connects well with players. I feel like the biggest thing for players to commit nowadays is like that comfortability. Like, oh, he's a player's coach. We see
Right.
that in the NBA. All the new head coaches extracting the best out of their players because they know how to talk to them. It's not always X's and O's. Like basketball is deeper than the surface level stuff. It's a lot of behind the stuff seen. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were because I had the same feelings about my own program. I won't say their name, but
Nah, you can, bro. You can talk
uh,
it.
I was skeptical of the UNC hire, but we got to the national championship, so we're supposed to be back next year, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, when you mention like an in-house hire and stuff and kind of looking like for a player's coach, I do think a guy like Eric Musselman fits that bill, I feel like. So, if we were to do something in-house, like everyone kind of expected Jay Lucas to be that guy where he was going to cook on the bench, next to Coach Cal for a few years, learn the ropes, and he's a young, talented, eccentric coach who, I mean, that guy's going to be a head coach one of these days. Like I feel like that's a foregone conclusion with Jay Lucas. So, everyone kind of thought that was what was happening, was he was kind of just the coach in waiting kind of, and then he just leaves for Duke with like almost no warning, and it's like, okay, I guess that's out the window. So looking at former players, I mean, I feel like a guy like Tyler Eulis could fit that description, but he's a little young still. He's still in his early 20s, so that's not even. But that's kind of similar to what Duke did with Shire, and he's very young. He hasn't been out of college for that long. So I really couldn't name a guy who I think we would immediately look at when it comes to former players, but yeah, I could definitely see that being an option as well. But pushing into kind of looking at this 2023 recruiting class, I wanted to kind of see your thoughts. I know let's see, is Gigi Jackson in this? Because I know you're a big Gigi Jackson fan. Is he in the 2023 class?
Yeah, yeah, he's 2023. He's
And
my
he's
1A right now.
And he's a North Carolina commit right now, so I know you're happy about that. But looking at the rest of this 2023 class, we know that Kentucky's looking at guys like DJ Wagner. We've been mentioned in the Kwame Evans discussion. I know Mookie Cook was we were looking at him. He ended up at Oregon. I think for a while we were looking at Matas Buzelis. Rob Dillingham. I think everyone kind of looks at Rob Dillingham as a backup option if DJ Wagner ends up not coming. And then I know Ron Holland is like a big name that has kind of come out lately. And then you mentioned Justin Edwards earlier, and it seems like he's going to probably end up at Tennessee. I saw that report as well. So, how do you feel how do you feel about this 2023 class as a whole? Because me personally, I think this is one of the stronger classes we've seen in a while, just from, at least looking at the top like 25, 30 recruits. I feel like there's just so much star power in this class. So how do you feel about some of these guys? And then how do you feel about Kentucky's chances with some of these guys and that, how that fit would work out?
I have my own personal rankings. Gigi is my number one, 6'8", power forward. I think once he develops the defensive tools, he could be a small ball five, but he's great on the wing, put the ball on the floor. I love his back to the basket, can shoot. He reminds me a little bit more like he's an offensively like Bam, what Bam's doing now, being more comfortable with the rock, I could see him having that same type of trajectory. I'm big on Ron Holland. I think Anthony Black, who's at Arkansas, his success really hinged on Ron Holland. I think Ron Holland is super dynamic on both ends of the floor. Um, I think he's my 1B. DJ would be my third player. I like his confidence, shot making ability, leadership. He does all the winning things. Mackenzie Mbako, great shooter. Kwame Evans, I'm not really big on. I think he's a good outside shooter, but I gotta see like more from him this upcoming season. But Rob Dillingham, if y'all get him, I think the Kentucky fan base will be content because he's pretty good in like the social media stratosphere. Like everybody knows who he is.
Right.
It's like DJ and him. Like everybody knows. So I think getting him, one of them, or even both, which may be possible, that'll be good for the fan base, just a culture thing. I think his shot creation and he has that it factor too. I think defensively it may be hard on him. I don't think he ever becomes a plus defender, but I think he gives you enough offensively, like just winning plays on offense. I think he's more of a two guard though, a small two. Um, who do I think you guys could get? Let me check real quick who you guys. Like I said, Justin Edwards, I don't think is coming to y'all. I
Well,
like Reed Sheppard. I
that's what I was
think
going to ask you about.
Reed Sheppard, he's crazy. He reminds me a little bit of Devin Booker in
Oh,
terms of
wow.
like the fluidity on offense. Like just watching him play grassroots these last 2 years, like I think he has the chops, and he's in state, right? In state,
Yeah. Yep. And his dad
yeah,
actually played for UK. Jeff Sheppard played for Kentucky. So he's a legacy recruit as well.
yeah. He needs to get the keys on offense as soon as he touches down. I think all the signs say he's gonna be a star. I think he's gonna go to the league. I think he's underrated. I think he's closer to being a top 15 than I think he's like low 20s, 30s.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm very high on him. Like, just catch and shoot, smooth mid range. Like, I think the mid range is his bread and butter. And then he's it's like this stigma like white athletes aren't athletic, but he's like athletic. Like he can get
Right.
it done. And yeah, I really love his game. But who are some? Do you have some names like you? I think if y'all get DJ, y'all get Aaron Bradshaw too. So
Hmm.
that's DJ at the one, Reed two, Bradshaw five, and then you fill out the roster any other way. I think
Right.
that's a pretty good haul of a class right there. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Just those three guys. Yeah. I mean, and I think the thirst from the fan base to land a number one guy again. Like we landed Shaedon, but then he didn't end up playing for us. It has been, I think Scalabissiere in 2016 was the last one number one recruit we landed. So it's it's been kind of tough goings when it comes to landing elite recruits for us lately. So I think landing DJ is huge. But do you think a guy like Rob Dillingham could replace what we would be getting from DJ? Like say DJ goes to Louisville and we get Rob Dillingham as kind of like a secondary option. When I scout Dillingham, I kind of see a little bit of Darius Garland in his game, maybe, kind of like, I think they're both 6'1", 6'2", good with the ball in their hands, solid offensively. So do you think landing a guy like Dillingham would kind of help ease the pain of losing DJ, or do you think DJ is just a much better prospect overall?
Yeah, I think DJ is leaps and bounds better than him because I feel like DJ he offers more. I was surprised with his playmaking ability and making others better, being able to run the pick and roll. I don't think Rob is as gifted as a passer. I think his intent on offense is to score. So if you want a team that can run some sets, be offensively like good on both ends, like okay, I think DJ can run the offense. But if we're talking about go give me a bucket too, he could do that. But I don't think Rob is able to do that. And I just don't like his situation playing for Donda. It's like it's not fluid. It's no structure to it. Like
Right.
when I watch Camden where DJ's at and it is structure. So I think it's like little things like that. Um I don't think he like I say, I don't think he's a good lead ball handler. So you would have to get somebody to play the one. Hopefully somebody sticks from like the previous class or you go out in the transfer market.
Do you think Reed could
So
run the one, maybe? Do you think that's in his skill set, or is he just more off ball?
I think he's more off ball.
Okay.
More like he's like a go to scorer from what I've seen. And I actually watched like a couple of like his Kentucky clips, like his high school clips. And it was just surprising like tough shots, tough shots. I don't think you need two tough shot makers on off ball. You need somebody to run the point, have some structure. So I think from a fan base like the casual fan, they'll be, oh, we got Rob, top 10 recruit, super scorer, high social media profile. But I think it's like DJ Wagner or bust, to
Right.
be
And
honest.
I've had some, like when I go live on TikTok, I have some fans who will kind of like some Kentucky fans who will ask me, what do you think about us landing Rob? Like it looks like we're in the discussion for Rob Dillingham. So, is that a good fit? And personally, from what I know about the kid, you can't really judge a guy's character off of just what you see online, but it seems like he is very invested in the social media presence. He is very invested on like having the spotlight on him and stuff like that. Whereas DJ, he's such a quiet guy. He won't even talk about his recruitment most of the time. He just wants to hoop. DJ to me just seems like a much more quiet, humble kid who's just. I feel like that fits the Kentucky bill because I can't remember the last time we got a player who was very hey, all eyes on me, kind of like a Rob Dillingham or a Mikey Williams type, those social media guys who just like that type of attention. Kentucky just doesn't go after guys like that. That's usually whenever there's a guy like that, we just don't even go after them. So
And
I'm not feeling great about the Rob stuff.
it's like you don't hear much about Reed Sheppard talking about his game and him having a high profile. I feel like all right, you got the commitment from a legacy commit, right? And he's sticking his nose down and crushing grassroots, the high school scene. And you want players with the winning mentality. DJ Reed and Reed, that's perfect. Now you have title aspirations. You have players that I know are gonna compete night in, night out. They're gonna be mad if we lose.
Right.
Versus like Rob is not saying this is who he is as a player. I don't know him personally. And I'm just going off of what I've seen. It'll be a different scenario, I think, like versus like if he's at the helm and y'all lose, it's more of like maybe it's just about me.
Right.
Where you yeah, DJ and Reed is about the team.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's pivotal towards our future, and towards Kentucky fans being, content again. I think a back like we're already really happy about landing Reed. There's this stigma around Coach Cal that he refuses to play Kentucky guys and he doesn't want to recruit Kentucky kids and stuff. And I think that that's it's a false stigma because the only guy that really happened with was Dante Allen, and Dante Allen was just not that good. Like he shot 18% from three this season, and he's supposed to just be a shooter. He's a liability defensively, so that's why Dante Allen didn't play. But if you look in the past, Darius Miller was a Kentucky kid who played on that national championship Kentucky team. Dominique Hawkins and Derek Willis are some guys who have gotten a lot of play time for UK who are from Kentucky. So, landing a guy like Reed, like you said, he doesn't want all that spotlight. He didn't draw out his commitment. Once he got the offer, made the visit, he was like, yeah, if you want me, I will be here, because the kid's always dreamed of playing where his dad played. So, I want to land more guys like that. And so looking at that recruiting class, I think if we come out of that class with DJ Wagner, Reed, and then maybe like you said, if we get DJ, we'll probably get Aaron Bradshaw. So then, if we maybe just land Ron Holland or Matas Buzelis, if we land one of those two guys on top of that big three, I think that would be probably the best class we've had in a really long time.
That is a very good class. I'm just scared, like from what I'm seeing. I'm thinking Ron Holland might choose the West Coast UCLA package deal with Isaiah Collier, who's out of Georgia, and they both did a visit together. I know it's early, but I'm scared that, like, if I was a Kentucky fan, like that would be the case. Like, he has aspirations elsewhere. Now, Buzelis, his recruitment's everywhere. Like, the offers I've seen him get, and like who's high on him, like it was like Wake Forest was like one of them. I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do. I've seen North Carolina pop up, and I seen Duke. I think he has star potential, like league star potential. Um, So we'll see what happens with him. If y'all add him on top of the other two players, Bradshaw and DJ, now it's win or bust. Like, there's,
Right.
because you're only gonna have these players for like one season. I think all of them would enter the draft after that year. So it's like,
Mm.
um and we talk about 2023. I know I just want to say that I'm really high on Damian Collins. I know he's on. I think
He's
he's going to be a really good player. I think he's shown flashes of stretching the floor. I just wanted to mention that. I think you guys are blessed in the sense that he's returning, because I know a lot of kids would have copped out and said, "Oh, I wasn't getting PT as a high profile recruit. I could have just left." But he's really good, and yeah. So I just want to touch that subject.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, because I wanted to get into him a little bit more, but that kind of wasn't really on the talk list. But yeah, I'm also huge on Damian Collins. We saw in Big Blue Madness last season, which is like the little scrimmage we have before the year starts. He hit a couple threes, like a couple corner threes, and it's like you see a 6'9" guy with that wingspan knocking down two corner threes in a scrimmage. It's like, yo, like this dude, if he can actually do that and that wasn't a fluke, then that's big time. And then his shot blocking abilities and his shot blocking instincts, it seems like he's got like a Isaiah Jackson, Anthony Davis type feel when it comes to blocking shots, which we haven't had a rim protector like that. I mean, we had Isaiah Jackson last year, but it's not often with that we get a rim protector like that. So his only issue is, can he be physically ready? Can he handle the physicality of the SEC? That's the only reason he didn't play last year, is because he just wasn't ready. I remember game one, we put Damian Collins in for literally 30 seconds. He came down with a rebound, got the ball stolen from him, and then they like dunked it on him, and he like hit the ground, and Coach Cal pulled him out. So it's just like that, he just wasn't physically ready to play for us last year. But if he can put on some weight and become physically ready, I think you're right. Damian Collins, like, do you think it's a stretch? Because I've been saying this, for a little bit. Do you think it's a stretch that he has lottery potential?
No, I don't think so. I can, like, former tweets, like I was saying, like I was high on him coming into this year. Like, even if he played like, sporadic minutes, like teams were gonna covet what he offers. Cause I seen like high school clips of him, like look at abnormal, like Giannis, like
Yeah.
dunking, and like I was like, who is this kid? And then he was flying up the rankings too. And once he committed to Kentucky, it was like a little bit of hype around him. So I was like, yeah, he could definitely go lottery. But like you said, the physicality, I think, is a big thing. But he's a young man. He's gonna like tone up more, and I think this year is a statement year in terms of can he get quality production on the court, and if he can, teams are gonna take that chance on him because I've been uh I've been introduced to this. It's like they said NBA training, regardless if you play or not, is more impactful than like a college training. So I think he's definitely lottery material. The outside shot definitely has to be consistent. He could play that stretch forward, like a Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
I think that's a good outlook for him. So definitely
Awesome. Yeah. So, I've been trying to I've been trying to get other Kentucky fans hyped up for Damian Collins for a while. So I'm hoping he does get to produce because I've been kind of talking high on him for the last few months or since the season's ended. Kind of been trying to build the hype train for Damian Collins. I do think he could end up being the starting four at some point this season for Kentucky, which would be big to, have him if he reaches his full potential. The front court of Oscar Tshiebwe and Damian Collins is almost
unstoppable.
unrivaled. Like that's his rim protection and his ability to stretch the floor and his athleticism coupled with Oscar's dominance as a rebounder and as a paint scorer and ability to pop out to the mid range. That you could have a lottery pick and the national player of the year on the same front court, which would be so big for us. So I'm
You keep pushing it, please keep pushing it.
pushing the
TikTok,
Damian
whatever, tweet
Collins
it.
agenda.
I'm all for it. I'm retweeting, liking, resharing. I'm pushing it too. I'm because not only are they gonna be a formidable duo, but if Reeves and Cason are like 36 plus from the outside, and it's no hesitant. They're not hesitant from the outside, and they're hitting shots. Like all you need Severe is just to play make and be a plus defender, and that right there just fill out the bench or develop guys, and right there that's title. You're a year early, like we said 2023. Like you're a year early. Now, can I ask you this one question too? Do you
Yeah.
think if y'all had Jaden Hardy, right? He was supposed to be in this last class. Do you think things change? Do you think
I'm not sure where he would have fit. I mean, if we had Jaden Hardy coming in, I doubt we would have gone after Kellen Grady in the transfer portal or a guy like that. So I'm not really sure. Would Jaden Hardy have been more of a producer for us compared to Kellen Grady? Like, taking a fifth-year senior like Grady, who is already a proven high-level scorer at the college level, versus Hardy. And as far as I'm aware, Hardy kind of struggled in the G League this year, didn't he? And his stock has kind of slipped. Like he was, I think preseason he was a like consensus top 5 pick, and now he's kind of like
it
late first round.
it, it was high, then it dropped, but then like people don't really watch the G League
Right.
towards like that, and because of the preseason overreactions and like what he offers, like okay, he's a really good scorer, but what does that mean? You got to offer something else. But then he eventually incorporated, his numbers started to get better. You could look at the first 10 games, last 10 games. His numbers started to get better, shooting splits, and then he became like a better passer. Like he started to make these reads, these next level reads, because like I said, he's in the NBA program. They're
Right.
training him. So I think honestly, G League players, like if you go G League, there's always that one. And I think that's gonna be Michael Foster, who isn't really like, next level material. But what we seen from the first year, like Jalen Green, Kaminga, uh Daisha Nix, he was doing good. Like you'll get your role. So I think Hardy is going to be good. Some team he's gonna fall into the right team. I think his is more about fit, so he'll be good. What do I think he would have offered something good for you guys? Like you said, if he stayed, you probably don't get Grady. But let's play the hypothetical if you get both. I don't know how that works out.
Right.
But I think he's dominant on ball, and I don't know how that works with the flow of the offense because Tata, well, like if you place him off ball, like if you have Severe as your point guard and Tata is off ball, like how does that work? Because Hardy needs the ball too, so it's like you got two people that need the ball plus another sort of. So it's like it is a weird fit, and I think he did make the right decision. I think it benefited both sides. So I was just
Yeah.
wanting to hear your answer on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting hypothetical, and I remember really wanting Jaden Hardy, and I was super down when he went G League instead because I was really wanting him. But I mean, we landed Ty Ty super late in that recruiting cycle too, so maybe we don't land Ty Ty if we land Hardy because I don't even think we only looked at Ty Ty after Nolan Hickman decommitted. So it was like one of those situations where all these different things happened at once because Ty Ty was committed to Creighton, I believe, when we, or at one point he was committed to Creighton. So it was like, I don't know. That whole situation was weird. It could have ended up super different. If we'd have landed Hardy, we might not have landed Ty Ty and Grady. So I don't know. But kind of moving into this last topic before we wrap things up, I kind of want to get your opinion on the state of college basketball as a whole next season. Of course, for our listeners, I'd love to hear how you feel Kentucky fits into next year's conversation as a contender. And then like I know you might not have like an exact top five because we still don't really know how things are going to go, but maybe just like a loose top five teams that you're looking at for next year and some guys you expect to break out.
Um, on Kentucky, like I said, you said two roster spots, scholarships, right? That so it's still pretty early. It's a lot of good players still in the portal. This transfer portal has turned the whole college basketball world upside down. Players moving left and right. So there's still some teams that have some holes, and things can change. Like Tyrese Hunter, he's a big fish and he's making his last two stops. He could go to Texas or Kansas. Like that changes. Kansas could be a repeat. So, and I want to see how teams fill out. But I could tell you, like, I'm high on Houston, very high on Houston. There, if I, bet, I don't gamble. If I had to, I'm placing my money on them. Be a first time champ under a great head coach, Kelvin Sampson. I think people need to be aware of what's going on down there. Especially Marcus Sasser's been killing it in the G League camp that's been happening. If he comes back, I don't know if he is, but if he comes back, even if he doesn't, they still have a really good team, and that's my number one. Of course, I'm not as high on Arkansas and Creighton as most people. I think they're still young. I'm actually higher on Creighton than Arkansas. I think Creighton has much more continuity. Arkansas is more potential. They have a lot of NBA players, a lot of good transfers. Um, a lot of things have to work well over there. I don't doubt like they won't be like terrible, but I don't know if they're gonna be the best team in all of college basketball. I just want to see how it clicks first. Um, so I definitely have those two teams. I like Creighton, but I'm not as high on them as other teams. I mean other people. I also like to say North Carolina, my own team. We have one last spot. I'm pushing for Matthew Mayer. If we get him, that's a perfect replacement for
Man,
Brady Manick.
he's better
Uh,
than Manic, I would say. So that would that would raise your ceiling, I would say.
yeah, because I feel like he got forced into like this role of where the guards were getting injured for Baylor. James Akinjo, James Akinjo, Flagler, and I know Langston Love was out for the year, so they needed some scoring from players that aren't really scorers. So that meant Kendall Brown, Jeremy Sohan, Matthew Mayer. They had to step up, but that wasn't their role.
Right.
Um, he is better, and I feel like because we have Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, and Baycott commanding the points, like he'll be fine in that role. He just has to play lockdown defense and hit his outside shots. Now, the last spot, I, I don't. It's kind of hard. Can you name your five real quick while I think of this last five?
Yeah, so I'm actually I've kind of fallen onto the Arkansas hype train a little bit. I just think that the amount of talent, like the fact that they are going to be like borderline 13 deep, is kind of crazy. I think I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet, but I think they're kind of expecting Jalen Williams to come back, and he was one of the better bigs in the SEC. So if he's back, then that's huge for them.
Yeah, that's huge.
They've got the number 2 recruiting class coming in. They've already landed a multitude of transfers. And then they have a lot of talent coming back. So I do think I see Arkansas up there as my preseason number 1. I remember you pushing the Houston agenda on TikTok a good bit leading up to the tournament. I like that Houston team as well. And yes, if Marcus Sasser comes back, that makes them terrifying. North Carolina is easily top 5 preseason, just returning the talent they return. I think the weird thing about them is they weren't that good in the regular season with the exact same team, and then they just went on a run in the tournament. But I think that was just them coming together as a team and finally, accepting Hubert Davis's coaching and kind of accepting their roles, and they were hitting their shots. And I don't know if you saw, I think I DM'd you when Armando Baycott commented on my TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So that kind of, I don't like UNC obviously as a rival, but I thought that was really awesome. And then I don't know, I'm high on Kentucky, to be honest. Like, that might be my homerism, but I think Kentucky is easy preseason top 5, especially if we land one more guy, if we get another name in there. I just think that roster with Damian Collins and Oscar Tshiebwe, and then a senior Jacob Toppin, and then a senior Severe Wheeler. CJ Frederick is coming back from injury.
I forgot about him from
he's
Iowa.
Yep, he was a 48% 3-point shooter at Iowa. The dude is just a straight sniper. So him coming off the bench, landing Antonio Reeves, who's a high impact scorer. I do think Kentucky's roster is solid. It's Cason Wallace. We have 2 top 15 recruits. We're returning the National Player of the Year. We have a former 5-star potential lottery pick with Damian Collins. We've got multiple seniors. Severe Wheeler led the Power 5 in assists last year, and then Jacob Toppin as a senior. I mean, he was great off the bench for us this year, but I think he could take a big leap similar to his brother Obi. When Obi took that big leap at Dayton, I think Jacob could take a similar jump. It won't be the same, but similar. And then it really depends on if Adou Thiero can contribute immediately. We'll see if Lance Ware can take that sophomore to junior jump. He's not going to play much anyway because of Oscar, but I do think that Kentucky is probably top 5. And then honestly, it pains me to say it, but Duke rounds out my top 5.
I can't.
I know you can't. I know we both hate Duke. We share that hatred, man. But Roach was playing great at the end of the year. He's back. Lively. They got the number one recruiting class with Lively and Filipowski. And I know you're super high on Dariq Whitehead. I'm also very high on him. I think he's going to be really good. And then who I think Keels is still undecided. But overall,
if he comes back there,
yeah. And even if he doesn't come back, though, I'm very high on that team. I guess the shooting guard spot would be a big question mark for them if Keels leaves, but everything else is super filled out and super solid. So I just think with who they have coming back, plus that insane recruiting class they have coming in, I think they landed one transfer from Harvard, I think, and then they've kind of they're still in the running for a couple other transfers. So I don't really know much about Kansas. Is Kansas a top 5 caliber team? I know they're losing a good bit, but do you think that? I mean, you still have to give me your last one. But
oh yeah, I was thinking it's gonna be somebody from the ACC. I think the ACC is gonna be a really competitive league this year. Louisville, Kenny Payne, I like the way he's filled out that roster. Now it is young. If they do get Tyrese Hunter and Amani Bates, I'm not big on Amani Bates, but that'll be a nice team right there. I'm very big on Florida State and Virginia. Now I feel like somebody from the ACC is going to be a top 5 team alongside North Carolina and or Duke. Kansas, I know Jalen Wilson's been killing it in the G League. So if he stays in the draft, now you're losing Brown, Agbaji, and my fault.
Wilson.
I'm having to
Wilson.
say Wilson.
No, you're
good. So if you lose all 3 of them, that's a big portion. I know they'll have a bunch of these guards. And I'm high on KJ Adams. He plays some sporadic minutes. And then they have Grady Dick coming in. I'm not high on Grady Dick. So I don't know I don't think they're gonna repeat. I'm definitely ruling that out. Top 5 seems like a stretch. I'm not very confident in them coming into next year. I don't think so. I don't even think that. I think Texas is gonna be back. Chris Beard's a great coach. Texas Tech, they've been killing in the transfer portal. They're actually number 1. It says in 247 transfer rating. And then you have Baylor. Baylor's going to be on the come up too. I think it's going to be a lot of parity this year. Something of the COVID year when we didn't get that tournament, because I think that was going to be the best tournament ever.
Yeah, well, from a Kentucky fan standpoint, that we had what that backcourt was Ashton Hagans, Emmanuel Quickly, who won SEC Player of the Year that year, and then Tyrese Maxey. That was our backcourt. We had an All-American in Nick Richards and a solid bench, and then the COVID took out the tournament that year. So that's depressing for Kentucky fans because we're sitting here, we're starving for tournament success, and then our best team in recent memory got the tournament canceled. So. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that the parity is going to be next level in college basketball. I think this is the first time we've really seen kind of like the recruiting classes are very interesting because it seems like the top talent in the recruiting class is more spread out than usual with this 2022 class. You got Arkansas landing so many great players. Of course, Duke, just signed a crazy class, but Dylan Mitchell going to Texas, Keontae George going to Baylor, Amari Bailey going to UCLA, Kellel Ware, which I know you're high on him, going to Oregon. You're pushing the Houston agenda. They landed a top 10 pick with Walker, or a top 10
They're gonna be crazy next year. Jerace Walker and Terrence Arsenault, he's very slept on. He's
Yeah.
back to back 5A Texas champ. Like he's the real deal. The best player going to Texas, Arterio Morris. No, he's the second best. Dylan Mitchell is.
Mm-hmm.
Arterio Morris. Terrence Arsenault. The reason why Arterio doesn't have any Texas state rings and how good of a player he is, I think he's really good. McDonald's All American. Arsenault is the reason why he doesn't have any because he's
Oh
beat him
wow.
back to back years. Like dude's legit. And I think he has very high upside NBA potential. So yeah, Houston's gonna be crazy next year.
Yeah, I forgot to mention my sleeper pick for potentially a really good team is Michigan. With who they're returning and kind of like what they've got coming in. I think overall that's a really underrated team. I know Kentucky plays Michigan in London next year, so that'll be an interesting game. That Hunter Dickinson Oscar Sheway matchup is going to be crazy, but I think Michigan's a team that might surprise some people with how solid they are next year.
But do we play y'all? I don't think we do because you know how it's usually UCLA, Ohio State, us, and well, I say us, UNC and Kentucky.
Yeah,
Is it who
I
who's
think
playing who this year?
I think we play UCLA this year because we were supposed to play Ohio State this year, but then that ended up getting canceled. So then we played y'all
No,
because that's
that was not a good day. That was not a good day for
hey,
me.
y'all got the last laugh though. You made the championship, so whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for college basketball next year. I just think there's so many question marks, with so many teams, but there's also just like you just know that next year's gonna be crazy. It's kind of hard. It's impossible to pick a favorite for the championship because of just number one, no, the transfer portal's still going on and stuff like that. But then everybody's just got good teams going into next year, so it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think like just from like content creator and watching what you do, watching what I do, watching what others do, I think everybody's gonna take that jump. If you really dedicated to this, everybody needs to tap in with your platform. Like, yeah, this it's about to be a crazy upcoming year, and because it's like we were we got off of COVID this year in a sense, but now we're really off coming into next season. So now it's like, all right, we got the transfer portal, talent's more dispersed, new head coaches that are SEC is gonna be living hell every week because
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna say six. I'm gonna start six. There's a lot of teams that can
hmm
compete for the title this year. There's no safe spots. I know one thing, y'all are gonna be better than Auburn this year. Definitely gonna be better than
I
Auburn.
hope so, man. That was rough, and we should have won that game against Auburn. I think we were up by like 12 when Ty got hurt, and then he was out the rest of the game. And we like to make that excuse as to why we lost that game, but I really do think that's probably why we lost that game. Like I think we probably would have pulled that one out if we had a healthy Ty because he was playing great before he got hurt. But yeah, I
That's
mean,
fair
just
because
I was just gonna say,
I
just
was,
looking at the SEC, we got Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas. Like those right there, those are gonna be some scary teams. But anyway, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say they was as fraudulent as could be because their guards were terrible. I think to win in this sport, you need good guards. So we were talking about the Rob Dillingham or DJ Wagner, who you can have cool guards that like KD Johnson, or you could go get a bucket. But are you really gonna like help my team win?
Right.
So that's why you want winning players. Cason Wallace is a winning player. Reed Sheppard is a winning player. That's strides in the right direction. But I do say 2023 is the year y'all need to like, okay, final four championship or bust. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like when you mentioned those high quality guards, winning guards like that, the last Kentucky team to win it all was 2012. And our guards on that team were Marcus Teague and Duron Lamb. And Duron Lamb shot like almost 50% from three. He didn't take bad shots. He was a complete sniper. He made everything that he shot pretty much. He didn't take bad shots. And then Marcus Teague, started off the season a little rough, but by the end of the year, he was throwing those lobs to AD on, like, he was operating through the pick and roll perfectly. He was knocking down his shots. So you got to have those. You don't need a guy who's gonna, you don't need a guy who's gonna go crazy at every game, but you do need your guards to be high quality, high IQ, don't turn the ball over, don't take bad shots, because that's every shot, every possession matters in March Madness. So if you really want to make a run, it doesn't matter what your numbers are in the regular season. If you want to make a run, you got to have those winning qualities. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited, man.
We even the year y'all unfortunately lost to Wisconsin because I hated seeing Wisconsin go. It was at that point, but anyways, if y'all had good guards, y'all had the Harrison twins, right?
And
I
then off the
believe
bench, Ulyss and Booker.
that winning formula, players that buy in. We see what Booker does. Well, besides that butt whipping Luca just gave them. What those players like they play hard. I think you did a ranking of like Kentucky players, right? And you were
Hmm.
like, and we were DMing, and we were like, people are coming at my head the way I placed this player over this
Yeah, people
player.
were
He's
real
too low.
mad at me for that list.
And it's like I'm just watching. I watch Kentucky basketball, right? And I know you said we're rivals. I don't really hate Kentucky. That's
I don't
like a
hate
team like
UNC.
not, we have a common hate for Duke though. But
Right.
anyways, like watching Kentucky ever since I was little is like I realized y'all are good off of these winning guards. Shea was a winning guard. Jamal Murray was a winning guard. Now it may not equate it to a championship, but y'all were successful. Tata's not injured. He's a winning guard. He plays hard.
Right.
Y'all are not losing to St. Peter's. So in this transfer portal and recruiting classes, I just like as a fan, you just hope that you get these winning players. And yeah, that's really much it.
Yeah.
I'm wishing y'all the best too because it's always excitement when we play. Well, except last year when we got our butt whooped, but it's all good. So
Well, I when you talk about like just not having that hatred for Kentucky, that's kind of how I feel about UNC. I mean, I'm supposed to hate them. I'm told I'm supposed to hate them. I watch other Kentucky fans hate them, but I really don't hate UNC. Like I hate Tennessee, Duke, and Louisville. Those are the three teams I hate. That's who I hate. I don't hate UNC. I honestly, I like UNC more than Kansas. I don't like Kansas very
I
much.
don't like Kansas either, especially. I mean, yeah, this Kansas. I say my three are Duke number one, and then I probably go Virginia. Recently has become like. Now I respect that they might be good this upcoming year, but they're as fraudulent as can be too.
They're
And
boring.
Villanova was once there at a point in time, but I was like, I can respect what they got going on because they built it from the ground up. They just got winning players, not 5 stars. It's not flashy. They just do what they got to do. But I say yeah, Kansas. Kansas has always been a thorn in like why I just think about it like geographically, why would somebody want to go play at Kansas? I know basketball started there apparently, Naismith, but it's like
Yeah, but who cares about all that? I'm not trying
what?
to play in a cornfield, bro.
Yeah, that heck no. I don't respect, but yeah, Duke is number one.
Yeah,
Nothing,
no,
nothing. But they
I
keep
hate
getting
Duke.
all the players that I like.
Yeah.
It's crazy now.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that in one of your videos as well. It's like you hate them, but you can't help but kind of like you're not rooting for them, but it's like these are the players that you like in these classes and they're going to Duke. So it's like that's tough. But I would never root for Duke. I hope that John Shire is absolutely horrible coach, and I hope that he wastes all that talent. I hope that I hope they don't make the tournament next year. I hope that they fire him. I hope he can't figure out how to, because Coach K did a good job of figuring out how to like mesh all that talent together. And I know this has been going on for a while, and we're probably ready to get up out of here. But I do want to say so all the hate around Coach Cal for a while has been like, oh, he's a terrible coach, but he just gets all this high level talent, right? And so that talent's been carrying him. But then you look at a guy like Penny Hardaway at what he's done at Memphis. He's gotten insane recruiting classes, insane talent, and has nothing to show. He has one tournament win in his entire like 5-year career there,
over
and
Boise State.
yeah, right. And so, you look at that, a guy like Penny, and that might happen with John Shire. Everyone's thinking that he's just going to take the mantle from Coach K and just run with it and just continue the greatness. But like John Calipari is a good coach. He's a better coach than people give him credit for. And, it was a similar situation with Coach K, but it's like, we need to look out for John Shire to possibly fail, because even when you have all that talent, if you look at what happened with Penny and what has happened with some other guys, you got to be a good coach. You got to be able to get those guys to buy in and, not be all about themselves. And you got to get those guys to want to win to have any success.
Yeah, it's crazy that all these players are picking these schools to play under these former players, but you're not going to like Eric Musselman's back-to-back Elite Eight. Like, he's starting to get it now, but it's like, why? I was confused. Like, why are people picking Memphis? What has Penny Hardaway done? Like, he's not a good coach. And my thing about Cal, right, is like, he's a good coach, but sometimes I feel like he's stuck in his ways. Like,
Oh,
he's gonna.
absolutely.
I mean, you know more, but from what I've seen, I feel like if something is working, he'll stick to it. But when it like another team starts to figure it out, he'll like just lock up. Like, we're just gonna keep doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
running the same players. Like, I don't know.
No,
You know more than me, but that's just what I see. I'm like, you could be doing so much better sometimes in late
mm-hmm.
game situations.
Well, something as simple as if Xavier Wheeler turns the ball over 4 possessions in a row, take him out and put Ty at point. And he just didn't do that. He's like, no, we're going to let him play through this bad stretch. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good on paper, but if he keeps turning the ball over and taking bad shots, that hurts the team. And then we lose to St. Peter's.
Yeah.
So it's like, we could have beat St. Peter's down the stretch, but Xavier Wheeler had 2 back-to-back terrible turnovers in crunch time, and St. Peter's took advantage of it. So, yeah, I agree. Coach Cal definitely needs to adjust, or he's going to end up like Jim Boeheim. He's a legendary coach, but he didn't adjust, and he hasn't adjusted with the game. People have figured him out, and so now Syracuse is nothing to be worried about. So I'm worried the same
Nothing
thing's
at
going to
all.
happen to us.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I was talking to Judah Mintz. He just committed to Syracuse like a month or two ago, and he's a teammate of Chris Livingston. And it's like, when I watched Oak Hill, I thought, well, I'm 2 points here. I thought Judah Mintz was better than Chris Livingston. That's what I got from it. But like, and then another thing, he was asking me, he was texting me like, where should I go? Where should I go? Like, I was telling him like Wake Forest, because that was one of his final schools. Like, Steve Forbes will get you right. You get the ball in your hands. Alondis Williams is leaving. But then he was like, Syracuse is telling me all these things about how they're gonna change this and that. And you brought up Jim Boeheim, and that was just, it just connected. Like, why go there when they're like, I don't. It's like when the president tells you like, oh, we're gonna change this, this, and that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
false promises, and I feel like I hopefully Coach Kyle's not giving y'all false promises and the Kentucky fan base, because that would be like that. Then that's the Jim Boeheim route. Then you're getting stuck in that
And I
route.
think that's what I'm worried about is that he's not going to adapt fully, but he's embraced the transfer portal, which I didn't expect him to do, and he's still landing these high caliber recruits. So I think it's more so the in-game coaching with Coach Cal. Make the correct adjustments. Don't be stubborn and stick with your ways because they used to work. the dribble drive offense worked in 2011, but that's no longer the state of college basketball. That's no longer the new innovative thing. Everybody's figured out your offense, coach. So you got to adjust that. And I think that that's what he's really struggling with. So if he can do that, we've got the talent on the roster. He's just got to make that adjustment. But
Maximize the talent. Yeah.
right. And so, you're still developing these guys and then putting them in the league, but it's just not working on a college basketball level just yet. So anyway, I'll that's pretty much all the topics we have for today. I really just wanted to get you on here because like I said, I just respect your word. I respect what you say about, I just believe every word out of your mouth. I believe, you know what I mean? Like I
I
treat you like
appreciate
a
that.
high level analyst. I can't believe, I really do think that you're gonna, make it far in the industry. I know you're trying to, that's your dream down the road, and I think it happens, bro. Like what you're talking about.
Thank
You're definitely one of my favorite creators, if not my absolute favorite sport. Definitely my favorite sports creator. So I love watching your
thank you.
videos. I'm honored that you came on here to talk hoops with me. I know I drew it out a little bit, but appreciate you coming on the pod, man. It means a lot.
I know this means a lot because, like I said, likewise I've been keeping up with your content. I see that you're live. I see that you have these connections. You're always invested into primarily Kentucky, which is good. Like if I sooner down the line, Coach Cal's gonna be calling you, bro. We report this, that. Now I fully believe it. Like you're gonna infiltrate yourself so deep into the community that they're gonna start paying you, or you're working for a scouting publication, whatever you want to do, revolving around Kentucky basketball, football, both is gonna work out. And I'm here for. I'm supporting you, and I'm just one DM away. We can always talk basketball, chat about whatever is going on. I'm here, and I appreciate your kind words. I appreciate what you got going on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. No, and once again, thank you so much. I also appreciate the words. We're gonna rise together. You know what I mean? And
For sure.
for anybody listening, y'all make sure to go find this man on TikTok. That's where you primarily do most of your stuff, right? You're not on like
Yeah,
majorly on any other. I know you're like active on Twitter, and you
yeah.
write articles sometimes as well, and that you post to your Twitter. So if any of y'all listen to this, make sure to follow Hardwood Trash Talk on Twitter and TikTok. He's got great content, and
Thank
yeah. So appreciate you once again. And listeners of the KCP podcast, appreciate y'all and have a good one.